And we are live. Welcome to Wealthy Wednesday. Oh my goodness, I am so excited. We had an amazing conversation backstage. I wish we were recording it. Oh, today is going to be fire. My name is Leah Garcia, financial strategist and insurance professional. And it is my crusade to help you properly protect, distribute, and transfer your wealth so that you can build a legacy and create generational and multi-generational wealth. Oh my gosh, that's so dang cute. I can't even keep a straight face. Oh my, well,
I'll
so
put
I'm
him
so
down for
blessed.
now. You just
We have
stay there,
two
sir.
guests. We have two guests today.
Yeah, there's water.
Today, yes, we do. Today, my guest, I am so honored to have her taking time away from her business and her family to be with us here today. She is truly one of the top voices on LinkedIn audio rooms. If you don't know about LinkedIn audio rooms, you need to get to know about LinkedIn audio rooms. They're a powerful way for you to build yourself, network, get to know people, and really build a community. And so I refer to her as really the most compassionate person on LinkedIn. I truly do. And I just don't even know if I have the right words, but I've heard her in so many different spaces on LinkedIn in different situations, early in the morning, late at night, and she's always got the same vision and mission. And her compassion comes through in every level and every aspect. And that to me is true authenticity. So, with that being said, please give it up for the most amazing Paulette Hammond. Hopefully, I said your last name correctly.
Hallam, yeah. It's very easy. Hallam, yeah. Nice and
Hallam.
easy. Yeah, from Derbyshire. It's a Derbyshire name. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Hi,
Well,
thank you. Nice to be here.
yeah. So, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know a lot of people here from LinkedIn are already know who you are, but this is going out to my YouTube channel. And by the way, I do have officially seven, I think eight YouTube subscribers. So follow me on YouTube at The Wall of Wealth. And we have Joshua Onlay here with us. Thank you for joining, Joshua. And what does, yes, she is. I agree. Thank you for verifying that, for validating that. Absolutely. Oh, you're so sweet. He says, as so are you, Leah. Thank you. I received that. So, Miss Paulette, share a little bit about who you are.
Who am I? That's a good question. So, Paulette Hallam, I've been married for 25 years to the wonderful Charles, who most people hear me shout, Charles, for everything. Um, we've been together 28 years. We have a
Nice.
wonderful son who's 21 in September. That's Ben. Biggest birthday present you could ever imagine at the age of 39. What a surprise. But the best surprise ever. I went all the way to the glass ceiling, so much so that I ended up investing in a company who's a complete startup from scratch, and they're heading up for $1 billion company now. And as a founder share and shareholder, that's what allowed me to retire at 55, Charles to retire at 48. He is still does mentoring and tutoring for maths A levels and exams for university. And I really was like at a loss. So here I am going, okay, I'm not well in the sort of legs and bones department, but my brain is extremely active and capable. So I didn't know what to do with myself. And I do have bad days. Fibromyalgia, one of the illnesses. I have fuzzy days. When I'm not having a fuzzy day and my brain is solid and I'm thinking straight, I wanted to do something useful. So I decided that there was such a huge need for counselling, a therapist, that I would retrain. I'd already got all of the A levels in the right places, so it didn't take a lot of work to go on my NDIPS and become a fully qualified counsellor. But because I wasn't in the need for charging people, my door became revolving. And so I wasn't registered. And because I wasn't registered, that meant I didn't have a therapist to then download to or a supervisor. So I was just kind of carrying it all on my shoulders. And I thought, this isn't doing my mental health any good.
Mm.
So then I decided to go into schools, and that was a great idea, except everybody knows me. So parents would be really worried if they thought that their children were talking about their problems to me. So I reinvented myself, and I wore an old floppy hat and a Mac, and I carried a basket, and I used to have a basket of worries, and children
Mm.
could write a worry, and they would put it in my basket, and that meant they got rid of it. And then they would only know me as Mrs. Worry, and they used to come out and say, "Mrs. Worry, can I put one of my worries in your basket?" And I would say, "Yeah, would you like to talk about it?" And they'd be like, "No, I just want to put it in your basket to get rid of it." Okay, that's fine. And in the basket it would go. Then it was, "Can you come to school in Edinburgh? Can you come to school in Wales?" And it was like, hang on a minute, this wasn't the idea. I was trying to keep it local. So it got to the stage I said, right, books. I can write books. If I write the books that I used to tell Jack, my nephew, when he was younger, if I write the same stories, I've still got them sent to myself. I'll get them out the closet, as it were. And Jack and Water was 23 years old when I started to write the books. So I'd actually sent the books to myself 23 years ago in a
Right.
post in a big A4 envelope, my name and address, because in those days you were told that was legal, but now it wouldn't stand up in court. But the point was, it was my stories, and they were written. And Walter was an invention that came about because Jack, obviously, is the name of my nephew, but Walter was the character that I drew. That when he put the glass of water like this down over the top of my doodle, it's called a watermark. And we said, "Oh, look, it's got a watermark." And he said, "Shall we call him Walter?" And that's where he was born. And when I'd finished, we had a chat about being bullied on the bus. My brother or his wife didn't know, because he spoke to me and not them, because they were very busy with their business. And he kept the little napkin that I'd been doodling on, and he folded it up. And I said, "What are you going to do with that?" "I'm going to put it in my pocket." He said, "And every time I get worried or scared, I'm going to put my hand on it and know that I'm okay, because Auntie Paulette's with me." So I said, "You bet I am. And you better let them know that I'll come after them." And he was like, "I'm going to tell them, I'm going to tell them."
Mm.
And so he went into school a far more confident young man. So that was Jack and Water, and they were born. And 23 years later, they were reborn. And he was reborn, and Charlotte, my amazing friend, made him. And
So
this is the actual
adorable.
one. Here he
My God.
is in all his glory. He's such a sweetheart. There you are. Those huge long arms for hugs, and that's the Walter that you hear
Oh
about.
my gosh, Paulette, that is such a beautiful, beautiful story. We're going to unpack that in a moment. I want to shout out to a few people who've joined us. Of course, the amazing Joshua Onlay. If you have not heard him sing, he is an incredible singer. He is like my guitar whisperer, I think. He sings songs that I have never heard anybody really remake. I'm going to say remake
Mm.
because he adds his own spice to it. But I was traveling and he played a song by James Taylor. I thought about that song. I didn't listen to it the whole way, but I thought about that song over and over and over again. And he just has such an incredible voice, acoustic guitar. Please connect with him. And then we have a shout out to Francisco M. I'm not sure who you are, but he says, "Good evening. Thank you for joining us." Or I'm not sure he or she who
He,
you are.
Francesco, yeah,
Oh, Francesco? Okay, awesome.
yeah.
Well, thank you for joining
He's a
us
good
for
friend.
sure. And I think
Yeah.
Joshua's been married 25 years. That's amazing. Incredible. So I love so much about what you shared, and I knew this was going to be good, but I had no idea My precious grandson is 5 years old. So whenever anyone talks about little kids and their little spirits, it just sings right to my soul. And my first karate instructor used to tell us to leave your troubles at the door. People think when you bow that it's about respect for martial arts, and it absolutely is, but it's also about leaving your troubles at the door. So when you go into the dojo, just focus on your training, and then when you come out, you're going to have a whole new perspective. You can pick up those troubles if you would like to. They'll still be there waiting for you, but oftentimes we're going to forget about them and have a whole new, fresh, a new perspective. So I love that you were the worry, Mrs. Worry.
And it made
That's
me, the thing about it was that nobody knew that I was Paula Hallam. All they knew was Mrs. Worry came in today. So the parents weren't like, who is this person? What do they know about us? There was no worry about incriminating anybody because it was
right.
just this old lady called Mrs. Worry that came in with a scarf and the hat on. You just made it into, and I had my walking stick. So I looked like an old lady anyway. So they were quite
I
happy to
love
accept it.
that. I mean, I absolutely love that. What a gift that you gave to those little ones. And apologize, Joshua Onley is not married. He
No, it's
hasn't been
me.
married 25 years. He was giving you kudos for being married 25 years, so I apologize. I just married you off. I'm not sure if you're married or not, but I just married him off. But no, he's not been married 25 years. And then, of course, we have the Godfather himself in the house, Mr. Ennie. Oh my goodness, he says, "Great to be here and hear your gems, Paulette." Absolutely, she definitely bought her basket full of gems. And Ennie says the skin like golden sermon is doing wonderful things for you. For you, ooh,
Hang on, I gave you the full.
ooh. Wow, we'll have to talk. We have to give them a shout out also. I see them doing lots of audio rooms.
Mm.
Thank you for giving me grace, Joshua. I apologize for that. So that's so beautiful that you totally got into character for those little ones and just transformed them. And I'm so excited because that gave you gave that foundation for the books.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the books. And I love the story of Walter and how you formulated his name. That's so beautiful.
Yeah, and I think because it was Jack that sort of named him as well, it kind of helped. And it's just the whole thing was he belonged to Jack. And I actually
Mm.
did phone Jack, who's at MIT at the moment. He's over at your
Wow.
neck of the woods, and he's now getting on. It's 2028. And I said to him, I'm gonna borrow Jack and Water. And he was like, even you're calling him Jack, the little boy? And I was like, I
Wow.
am. And he was like, oh, well, that's cool. So I think deep down it is really cool. And he had everyone at MIT buy the books too. So
Oh,
he
that's
was,
so awesome.
yeah. So he's a sweetheart and he's a lovely, lovely lad. And he is the kindest. And I mean the reason he's over here is because he's using his amazing, he's a doctor and he's trying to save more lives by using
That's
AI.
awesome.
So I mean it's awesome. From where he was to where he is, um, it's a great story, and ditto Ben. Jack and Water were used for helping Ben. And when they helped Ben, Ben was in a very dark place at one time. I mean, so dark. Um, and we went to a tree, and he told me this was the tree that I'd find him if he went missing. And I was mortified. I said, "What do you mean if you go missing? Where are you going?" And he said, "Mum, I can't do it anymore. I can't cope with the bullying." And he was not even 12.
Wow.
And you think to yourself, there's no right way to answer that question. There's no right way
Right.
to know how to handle it. Except I said to him, "You just told me how much you love this tree." And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, you'd do that to this tree?" And he was like, "What do you mean?" And I said, "Well, this tree is such a beautiful tree, and it will always be known as the tree where Ben did that awful thing." And he was like, "Oh." I wouldn't want that for this tree. This tree saved me. I've hidden behind this tree and I've done this behind this tree. And when I got scared, I ran behind the tree. And when I was unhappy, I'd sit underneath the tree. So I said, so I think we deserve to give this tree a hug. I've never hugged a tree, and that was the first tree I ever hugged. And
Oh,
it's knowing what to do in those moments that change your life and their life, and that perspective that you talked about. And it changed my life in that moment, because I thought, is it because I've been working so hard? Have I missed all these signals? I mean, I knew there was bullying, but I had no idea it was that bad. And then he went on a school trip and it was that bad that it was awful. And he wanted to come home. He was going to walk out of a hotel in France. And it was awful, awful, awful. And I remember thinking to myself, how, if I can't fix you, I can't fix anyone.
right.
And the psychotherapist who saw me, she said, he's 70% likely to go ahead. And I was like, I can't have that happen. So she said, well, you have to help him. I said, whatever it takes. So I took a month off work, spent a lot of time with him. Every day we worked on a little aspect of life. And he could never understand when things aren't true. With Ben, it's black and white. Because he's autistic, it's very much that type of mindset where it's very black and white. It's there's no shades of grey. There's no, it could be right or it might be right, it might be wrong. It's right or it's wrong. And that's how he sees life.
Oops. Paulette got kicked off the stage. Let me bring her back.
Who got kicked, me or you?
I think you did.
Oh, okay. You suddenly
You're back.
disappeared. I'm back.
Don't panic.
Okay.
We pivot. No
That's all
big
right.
deal.
We'll
You're
sort
back.
it. No biggie.
Nothing can stop this
So
conversation.
so anyway, what ended up happening was I found Ben. I found Ben, and I said to him, we will never let anybody make anybody we know feel that bad again. And he was like, you're right. So instead of it being about Ben, we made it about all children.
That's
So if
beautiful.
Ben saw something that he thought was wrong, he was going to go call it out. And this headmaster, I remember him saying to me, Ben came to me and told me about something that had been going on. And he said, and I had an assembly about it. And I said that somebody brought it to my attention. And Ben said, yes, that was me. And the headmaster said to him afterwards, when you're the whistleblower, it's best not to admit it. But that's Ben being Ben, you see, telling the truth. Yeah, I did that. I went to the headmaster and told him. So, but he never cared from then on. He always felt like he was invincible. And I think that feeling of invincibility comes from me. I've always felt that it doesn't matter what happens, what you tell me is going to happen, we'll cope with it. And
That's
that
awesome.
invincibility is passed on to him now. And he's at university, he's coped. Second year, he's just finished his exams, he's getting drunk,
That's
having
beautiful.
parties, enjoying life. And
That is so,
that's my job in life, is
that is so
whilst I'm
beautiful.
here to make sure he's happy. And we live a good life, and we can get, you know, if we can get my health things sorted out, that would be even better. But at the moment, got a few issues going on, but once they're all dealt with, life will get better.
Absolutely. Great, great, great stuff. I want to circle back to that. I want to address a couple of things here. Definitely, any on song. He's so gracious. He's on here, but he's giving other people shout outs. He will make you famous. If you want to be on TV, write a book, create a podcast, he's the one who will make you famous. So absolutely reach out to the Godfather himself. And Joshua Lee asked me, what format am I using? Well, let you know. Okay, I'm going to let you know. This is a little different right here today. My computer is in the computer hospital, so I'm on my cell phone. That's why. But you know what? Champions do not panic. We pivot. So here we are. It's a little bit different. things are a little backed and a little bit squirrely, but nothing can stop this message. Paulette's story absolutely needs to be heard. So you're right, Joshua Onley. That is the issue, but that's okay. We're not worried about it. Hey, it's live. And this is really, I'm glad you asked because I think sometimes people think that it has to be perfect before we get started. Or I could have easily told Paulette, you know what, my laptop's in the hospital right now. It's getting worked on. Let's just reschedule this. We can do it another time, or maybe we won't do it again. Listen, I don't allow those little, what do we call them? Little
Hiccups.
yeah, those little hiccups prevent the message from that needs to be told. So that's what's going on. It's not perfect. Hey, it is what it is. If I waited till it was perfect, it would never happen. One of the things that I love that you said, Paulette, is when that little guy was struggling, you were able to put Paulette aside and really, in my mind, see it through the eyes of the little boy,
Definitely. Yeah.
and able to find what it was that could speak to him. And I think sometimes we get so worried about how we look. I could worry about, gosh, my hair looks weird, or, we could worry about a lot of different things that prevent us from reaching out to help another person. And a lot of times we don't because we're worried about me, my I. But if we can put ourselves aside, that's to me when we're in our power, when we really step into our superpower, because it's not easy to do. Listen, our ego wants us to be about us, right? So we're constantly battling that. So we have a question from the audience. How do you find the energy and the passion to keep fighting to make life better for other children, Paulette?
I think having had such a horrible childhood myself, um, I got bounced around, I had 13 addresses. Um, things weren't easy. They were pretty grim. And I think if you've had the worst time and you see another child struggling and you're now in a position to make that child feel better in some way, then you should. I've always had this thing that says, if you've got some spare, share, and if you share, you should care. So, they're just how I've always lived my life. So, if I had a pound and there was somebody sitting there on the floor, I'd say to them, look, you've got 50p and I've got a pound. So I'll take your 50p and I'll give you my pound because that's all I've got. And they would look at you and go, that's enough for a bag of chips. And you go, good for you, and I've got 50p for my gas meter. And that was literally my life. That's how tough it was. But I'd see the person on the street and think they had it even worse than me. So the
Right.
compassion comes from being at the worst place you can imagine and then saying to myself, I'm never going back there. I will do whatever it takes, whatever hours it takes. I would be in work at 7 in the morning. I'd finish at 7, 8, 9, 10 at night. When I work for the Japanese company, you start at the time the Japanese MD arrives and you leave at the time the Japanese MD leaves. And if the MD doesn't leave till 10, then you don't leave till 10. That's the ethos, that's what you do. Get to a directorship at a Japanese company, which is almost unheard of, then you don't just have to be good, you have to be better than good. And so you learn the ethos and the work requirement, the output you need to put out in order to get the recognition, to get the position, to get the money, to get the life, to get the savings, to get the house, to get the houses, to get the this, to get the that. And so when someone says, would you like to invest in my business and come and work for us? I said yes. And that's how it come, this is how we were able to retire early, was because the company we invested in has done so incredibly well. The company is actually the same age as Ben. So I was pregnant without knowing it when I
Wow.
agreed to uh, to uh, to go into the investment. And literally, the company is 21 years old, and Ben will be 21 in September. So it's a lovely success story. And the fact the company and Ben are the same age is unbelievable. Yeah, it's a lovely, lovely feeling that they're both grown up together, and that's what we've always said. And
That's so awesome.
even though I'm not there, I'm still, we still send big hampers at Christmas, everyone. We always remember them at Easter. We always make sure that everyone knows that we're still part of the show. They all bought the books for me. Um, but I didn't come on LinkedIn as a businesswoman because
Right.
if I had have done, they would have seen a different me. They wouldn't
Right.
have seen me for just the shell that I am. They would have seen the business brain and the problem solver and the person who could fix things. And I always think outside the box. So I would be always the one that got called in as a consultant. So having had that job as a consultant, you know full well that if you're not careful, you're going to get pulled and sucked into all sorts of directions.
Yeah.
So I came on as an author with no background at all. I didn't even put my qualifications as far as counselling is concerned, which is why when we have the mental wellness room, we call it mental wellness. I don't talk about my qualifications because they're irrelevant in America. A lot of the people in the audience are American. So it's just wellness, it's just advice and
Mhm.
suggestion. And that's right, and the same with the UK. I don't purport to be able to say to people, come and see me, I'm a counsellor now. I am just someone you can talk to if you need to. So it's a very nice position to not be that person. And then Annie says, I'd like you to come and join a business room. And you go, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
But for any, I will do almost anything for any. So
I know.
I agree to things, but he's been amazing with the book. So yeah, no, I mean absolutely. There's no question I had an amazing successful career. And you're the finance lady, and my financial advisor always used to say to me, put this into this and put that into that and set up this framework and do this and do this. And I'd be looking at him going, okay, but I'd much rather have the money in my pocket. And he'd say, yeah, but then it won't be there when you need it. So we had this really like a love-hate relationship I've now known him for 30 years. And he always talks about the fact, a bit like yourself, that this wall of wealth that you talk about is so important, so that when you can, you're in a position um, to take early retirement, to live a better life for me and for Charles and for Ben, really. We've been running backwards and forwards, Charles has, to Warwick during exam time. He preferred to study at home, so rather than argue about it, he just goes and gets him. He's got a huge office here. In that room, he was literally in a third of our lounge, is his whole room. So you can imagine the desk size. So he was trying to put all these medical documents out, and he was like, I can't. So he decided that come home and do it, and Charles would take him backwards and forwards. So we couldn't do that if Charles was at work doing a 9 to 5. So
Right.
the putting the money away bit that you are teaching people now, I'm here to tell you it's the right decision, because I wouldn't be able to do what I do if we hadn't. Jack and Walter wouldn't even be here
Right.
if we hadn't. So if you think about that for a moment, if we hadn't have done what my financial advisor had insisted. He calls himself a strategist. I always forget because it's a new terminology to me. But he
Okay.
calls himself a financial strategist too, and he really has given us, a framework and structures and trusts and goodness knows what else. And we'll be looking after Ben's grandchildren the way things have been set up. And I think that's amazing. And it shows you that I could have spent it had it have been in my pocket. There might have been the odd diamond purchase here and there, or the odd whatever. But the most important part of the story is that by putting it away when we needed to, it means now we're in a better position. So the money that we raise
Absolutely.
from these books is able to be given wholeheartedly to the charities. So, if we couldn't have done that, we would have needed to have used that money. But instead of it being needed for us, Charlotte's in a good position. I'm in a good position. We're in a position we can donate it, and we do. I mean, I do some philanthropy on the way. I help people out all the time if I can, in my own way, without making a big noise about it, because I think that's not what it's about. It's if you can share, then you should. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that can't, but there's a lot of people that can and don't. So
Mm.
that's the truth of it. For me, certainly, if I can, I will, and I do. And that's Charles will always tell you, we don't have a not-for-profit, we have a all-for-cost. He's got a different terminology for our charity. It's all for cost. I'm like,
There
yeah,
you
I
go.
know, but there you go. That's us.
Yeah. So much good stuff. I want to kind of rewind a little bit. You're talking about giving. I think sometimes we feel so attached to the outcome. Well, if I give that pound or I give that dollar, or if I give that $100, what are they going to do with it? My son, every year, he's done this for years. He does a barbecue. He loves to barbecue, my oldest son. And he does a barbecue every year for the unhoused. And he just did it himself. He asked his friends for donations. I mean, he's a grown man, but they put their money together and they usually feed several hundred people. I didn't know he did this until last year, right? I saw it on Facebook. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's my son. And he was posting recently that he was looking for anybody who wanted to participate. And somebody put a post on there and they said, well, those people who get the food, they don't really eat it. They go and, they just started saying all these these negative things. And I told him, you know what, Mijo, don't worry about that. You do what's in your heart, you give, and whatever the people do, whether they need it or not, whether they're unhoused or not, in your heart, you're doing it out of your heart. Don't get attached to the outcome of what people do with it. Your intention is good, and just
Yeah,
focus on that.
yeah,
So I love that you
absolutely.
said that. To give, you just give because you want to be a giver, and you believe in that, and we have to stop worrying about what is the outcome. What do they really need it? Do they really deserve it? Like, we have to stop attaching ourselves to that, I think.
Absolutely. And I think in the main, people are in dire straits. If people are in dire straits and they ask, then there must be a real need. Um, the people that I've dealt with and spoken to that have been in that situation, I wouldn't wish on anybody. And having been in that situation, I know what it feels like. And so I never want to go back there. And if I can help somebody, just even for 1 or 2 days, feel like somebody cared, that
Yeah,
just might change the way they feel enough to pivot in a different direction and think that the world
absolutely.
isn't all out against me, you know?
Absolutely. And we do have a question from the audience, Mr. Ennie. He asks, what advice would you give an event host to stay calm and positive when life tech issues happen? That's a great question. I heard this quote and it says, the enemy doesn't have to destroy us. All he has to do is distract us. So whenever these resistant things happen, I know it's just that enemy trying to distract me. And I say, huh? You know what? I know what you're trying to do. I see you. That's okay. You're not going to stop this message. Champions don't panic, we pivot. There's always a way. So great question. Thank you, Annie. And the amazing Martha Lobos Amaya is here and she's saying, great to see you both. We're going to circle back to you in a minute, Miss Martha. Cisco was saying, hi, Martha. And Sarah Gonella, good afternoon. Just joining. Thank you for joining us. So absolutely, and you alluded to this earlier, Ms. Paulette, but I would love you to share more about your book and what you're doing with the profits, and of course, Connect Impact Hub and all of those amazing things that are going on there.
Absolutely. Well, once the decision was made that we were going with the books, I said to Charlotte, I have no idea how we're going to get the books out there. We were told straight up, this is not the book that somebody is going to buy off the shelf if you're a child, because a child doesn't really want to talk about Newhouse Nerves. They want to talk about wizards and spaceships and exciting things. This is a book that somebody needs. So it's going to be purchased by a parent, a teacher, a library. It's going to be a therapist. It's going to be a group of people that are going to read this book, not one person. So it'll be the parent will read it to the child, or the child will then pass it on to somebody else. So Jack and Water really is about understanding transitioning. And that's the hardest thing for adults. When we change jobs and we walk in day one, we've all felt that, like, oh my gosh, what if they don't like me? What if I don't fit in? What if this? What if that? So, entrepreneurs, not so much, because you've only got yourself to fall out with. But if you're talking about working in a business, it's incredibly difficult at times to worry. So these books aren't going to be bought by kids for kids. They're going to be bought by adults for kids. So once I knew that, I knew I had to find a different route to market. So rather than give, they wanted 60% of the book if I let a company publish it, 60% of the proceeds. So we said, no, we'll do it ourselves, which was incredibly brave. And we had to put quite a bit of money up front to do it. And the idea was that I would come on LinkedIn and I would see if I could get people to get to know me, get to know what I'm about, and then we could introduce the books as the books came along. And that's really the whole reason I came on LinkedIn. It was to be a way of getting the books to market. Once the books are produced, we already had a group of people for the books. Then I found that, who am I going to give the money to? Spoke to Charlotte, and we spoke about the amount of people that in America on LinkedIn who have become great friends. And Martha is obviously one of the biggest of friends to me. She's like a little sister. I absolutely adore her. And we were talking one day about everything she was doing, and I just said, for goodness sake, let's just do it. Let's just do it. And she was like, yeah, let's do it. And that was it. Connect Impact Hub was born, and Martha's done an amazing job with it, but she needs income, and we're going to get income from going out there and filling in all kinds of forms and getting money from grants and things, but to have a little trickle so she can do her monthly gift bags and things is really important. And that's what the money, half the proceeds really, half the money in the US all goes to Connect Impact Hub, and the other half goes to buying the books, so that these books are going into every single comfort case. So children that are going into care or moving around the care system. So this is absolutely perfect for them, because they are going to be looking at that book and knowing that that's their nerves, that's what they're feeling, and that's going to be in their rucksack. So when they open their rucksack, that's what they're going to find. So we are going to be going over to Boreham Wood, Shipley, I think it is the area where Connect Impact Hub, Comfort Cases head office is, and we'll deliver the books this weekend, and we'll be making up bags while we're there.
Wow.
And we've already made one donation based on what we think is going to be the US sales number. And once we've actually got that all clarified, we'll maybe even able to add more in the pot. But, you know, we will keep topping it up as the books go out. And the books are continuing to sell. I'm getting new people for finding me. New people are talking about it. Josh, not only is he an amazing musician, he's an absolute Jack and Water fan, and he's out there, you know, selling the books, giving the books away, knowing Joshua. But he's bought so many, it's amazing, and I'm so grateful.
That is so beautiful. And think about this. This is all from LinkedIn. When I try to share with people what LinkedIn really is, they think, oh, isn't that just about getting a job? Most of my friends are entrepreneurs. I don't really have many friends that have jobs. They're like, what are you doing on LinkedIn? Like, you don't really even understand the connection, the family, the collaborations that are born through LinkedIn. And a lot of this is through LinkedIn audio rooms. I think a lot of us connected to the LinkedIn audio rooms. So if you don't know, definitely talk to somebody. Okay. Talk to me, talk to Paulette, talk to Annie. There's a lot of us on here. Talk to Martha, who is the founder of Connect Impact Hub. And the work that she's doing is incredible. Martha, I say she lives little hearts everywhere she goes. And she is really just blooming and blossoming. And I'm so excited that you two are collaborating together. That's incredible.
Yeah. I will be by her side for a very long time.
Absolutely. And I want to give a shout out to Miss Alexis. Thank you for joining us, Miss Alexis Publication. She is a publisher and also an editor. So if you are thinking about writing a book or even an ebook, anything like that, Alexis is your girl. I hear tons of great reviews around her. So you know what I would love for you to do, Paulette? I would love it if you would just read a little bit from your book. Would that be okay?
Of course.
Thank you. And then let's see Walter again. He made a little debut, but we'd like to bring him back in if you could as you read. That would be amazing.
I can happily do that. So here he is.
Cute. Oh my gosh, that doll is so adorable. You're gonna have to start making multiple, you're gonna have to start selling Walter dolls. I think is what needs to happen.
So my big brother Theo, he says he's never scared about anything, but that can't be true. Everyone gets scared sometimes, right? Like when you go swimming and it's so cold, your skin goes all pimply, and you've got to jump in at the deep end, and you so don't want to. I once asked Tara, my big sister, if she gets scared, and she said, duh, of course. The world is a scary place. She's scared of wasps and pigeons and dummies in shop windows. And then she called me a dummy and started chasing me around like a zombie. That was quite funny, actually. It made me shriek with laughter in a good way. Tara can sometimes be a real laugh. One morning when I couldn't find my school shoes and I heard Mum jangling her car keys in the kitchen, I got that scared feeling then. It sometimes creeps up on you when you don't expect it. If we miss the bus or Mum has to drive us to school, it means big trouble. I have told you 1 trillion times I can't be late for work, Mum always says. Luckily that day she didn't have to tell me 1 trillion times, because I remembered I'd left my shoes on the back step because it had been raining and they'd got all mucky and wet. Don't tell Mum, but I've been playing football in them too.
Oh my gosh, that's adorable. And Martha says, thank you, Paulette. Appreciate you very much. And a bunch of hearts.
This is the lovely big arms that he's got. They come out.
Yes.
and they go
The big
right
hug.
round you and give you a hug. How
Oh,
about
I
that?
love that. I
We have
love that.
the child will be in the middle there. There you
That's
are.
so
There he
cute.
is.
Every time I see you post him, I just laugh. He just makes me smile. He's so cute. He's so adorable. Oh,
I feel like it's my ventriloquist dummy, but he doesn't speak to me. There you
cute.
are.
I love the
Yeah.
hair. That's so great. Well, we're kind of winding down here. Paula, what's in the future? Share with us your vision.
My vision is that we will probably have a book series of around 6 books,
Nice.
all transitioning, all helping children, with all the proceeds in the States and going to Connect Impact Hub, and all the proceeds going into books, going to these rucksacks of love for Connect Impact Hub in the US, and it's very difficult to remember the two, but the other one is the Comfort Cases UK. So the two are our main charities. I see books, books and more books, stories
Nice.
galore. I think we'll continue with the mental wellness room because it seems to be so well received. I'll continue doing the new anxieties, children's anxieties room with Annie. We work really well together on a Monday and Tuesday alternate weeks. And I just sort of pop up here and there when requested or when asked, just to put some support in. I mean, I don't mind using my business head, but people just have to understand that I'm not coming as a businessman. A business person. I'm coming as just me with this amount of experience, and if I can help, I will. But you're not paying for my time. I'm just giving it willingly. And if they want to make a donation to Connect Impact Hub for the help I give them, then that would be wonderful. So that might be a way of helping.
That's beautiful. I love that. And where is the best place to connect with you? And also, how do they order the books?
So you can order the book on Amazon, so straight onto the Amazon link. We can put that in the comments at the end of
Yes, please
the
do.
room. We also have on the website www.walterontheweb.com, so you can buy the books as a direct link from there. And there's also lots of other stuff on the website that helps children.
Nice.
There's an actual full assembly that schools can put up, and it actual save me going into the assembly. There's an assembly been filmed by our local regional college in Cambridge. So that was one of the jobs that they had to do. They had to find somebody who needed a film. We got a free film, and that works for both of us. So I think really and truly, you can find me either on all the time. I'm hanging out on LinkedIn somewhere, so that's easy to find me on. Or my email address is everywhere as well. So I think I'm fairly easy to find. If you want to find me, you'll find me.
That's beautiful. And we need more people to be advocates for our children. Our children truly are our future. And for me, it's so cathartic when I'm able to give back. And even if you have the resources to donate or purchase the books, or even if you don't, we can all do something to positively impress, impact, be kind to a child. Sometimes they feel so helpless and they don't have the words. Maybe people don't hear them. I shared this story before, but there's this little boy in my grandson's class, and his mom's super busy. I don't know his mom. I don't know what she does, but she's not able to be there a lot of times. And when they have different events and stuff, and they had their little graduation ceremony, and he was there crying, and the entire audience was crying for him. But I just think, we just reached out to him afterwards and loved on him and such. But we can all do something. We can all do
Absolutely,
something to be
absolutely.
kind and love on a child. And Martha is putting the website. Thank you, Martha. You rock. You rock. Well, this has been incredible. Oh my God. My goodness, Paulette, you're just so gracious. You're
Thank
so
you.
wonderful. There's so many levels to you. And I think I shared this with you offline, but I've seen you in so many different rooms and you're just always who you are. I mean, I knew exactly how you'd be because you're always this way, and I love it. And you're impacting so many people, so many children. Those ripples are going to go on for generations and multiple generations. And we need to see more of Walter too. You got to post more posts of
More
him.
posts of water. I should do one in
Yes,
a
we
minute.
love it
I'll
when you
do one
post
in a
him on
minute.
there. He makes me smile. So let's see. Will there be monsters under my bed? Oh, okay. So Martha's posting the link for the books also. Thank you so much,
Oh,
Martha.
thank you, Martha.
We love all of you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you for the comments and the questions. Definitely connect with Paulette. She's a resource for anything, even if you're just having a rough day. She's that kind of person that will pick you up. And if you're thinking your glass is half empty, she's going to show you how your glass is half full. She's absolutely that kind of person that knows how to see the positive in every situation.
Absolutely.
So again, my name is Leah Garcia, financial strategist, and it is my crusade to help you protect, distribute, and transfer your wealth so you can build a legacy and create generational and multi-generational wealth. So if your money is acting a little funny, reach out to me. I love to connect with you. I love to talk to you. And that's it for us on this Wealthy Wednesday. Thank you so much, Paulette. Say bye to Walter. Bye, Walter.
Bye.
All right. Have a good day, everyone. Thank you for joining.
Take care.